The one who sees the wall, the one who sees the sky, the story that awakened millions. Have you ever wondered why in the same situation some people can still find joy while others only see suffering? Why do some people, living in abundance and happiness, constantly complain, while others smile with optimism even amidst adversity? The answer lies in how you choose to see life. Today I invite you to sit down, pour yourself a warm cup of tea, and listen to a very short story, but one that might make you reflect deeply on how you've been living every single day. The story goes that there were two prisoners locked up in the same cell. Every day both had a habit of looking outside through a small window, but strangely enough, although they were looking in the same direction, they saw completely different things. The first man, every time he looked up, kept his eyes fixed on the muddy ground below. He constantly muttered, "How miserable. There's nothing but mud, barbed wire, and gray walls. My life is over." The second man, standing by the same window, lifted his gaze just a little higher. Every day he marveled at the clear blue sky, the white clouds drifting lazily, and the line of green trees far in the distance. The first man lived in despair and resentment. The second man, though still imprisoned, lived with a free and peaceful soul. The story ends there, but the question for you remains. Are you looking at life through the eyes of the first man, focusing only on the mud? Or are you calm and mindful enough to lift your head and see the vast sky out there? Now, let's go deeper together to understand why the way you choose to look at life matters so much, and how you can learn to see the sky even on your darkest days. Are you ready? You know, in life, every day is like standing before a small window, and you are the one who chooses what you will see through that window. If you choose to look down at the muddy ground, your mind will be filled with mud. But if you choose to look up at the starry sky, your heart will be filled with hope. And strangely enough, many of us are used to living like the first prisoner in the story, always focusing on the gray wall of life. They only see problems, forgetting that there are always solutions. They only focus on others' flaws, overlooking the kindness and goodness around them. They only remember the wounds they have suffered, forgetting the smiles and little joys they've experienced. They live in comparison and judgment, always believing their life is more miserable than others, without realizing they already possess many precious things. The important point is, the way you choose to look at life will determine your experience of living. You can live in a gloomy prison or in a world full of light. It all depends on how you choose to see. But is it enough to just look at life with optimistic eyes? Is it true that if you're positive, if you look up at the sky, everything will be fine? The answer isn't that simple, and that's what we'll clarify in the next part. Is positive thinking always good? A critical perspective. When hearing the story of the two prisoners, many people might think, so I just need to always look at the sky, always think positively, and everything will be fine. But is that really true? Positive thinking is a gift, but if misunderstood, that gift can easily turn into a trap. Imagine this. If you were drowning in debt, and instead of finding ways to balance your finances, you just sit there repeating the mantra, "Everything will be fine." Will things really get better? If you are going through a psychological crisis, and instead of seeking help from a doctor, you force yourself to just be happy, be positive, will your mind truly find peace? It is precisely because of this excessive, distorted way of positive thinking that modern society has coined a thought-provoking term, toxic positivity. What does it mean? It means forcing yourself and others to be happy and positive in every situation, to the point of denying reality, suppressing real emotions, and unintentionally making the pain even deeper. A real-world statistic for you to reflect on. According to a report by the World Health Organization, WHO, by 2023, nearly 300 million people worldwide are living with depression, an increase of almost 25% compared to before the COVID-19 pandemic. Many studies in the US and Europe have also shown that young people, especially Gen Z, are the group with the highest rate of mental health crises, even though they live in an era flooded with messages like, "Be positive." This shows that if we simply slap a positive label on every problem without addressing the root cause, we won't become happier. Instead, we'll easily fall into emptiness and despair. Therefore, When I talk about looking up at the starry sky, I don't mean to advise you to ignore reality, turn a blind eye to difficulties, or hide your true emotions. The issue is not whether you are positive or not. The real question is whether you dare to face the darkness and know how to find the light within that very darkness. And that is exactly what I would like to invite you to continue exploring in the next part, learning to see the light in the darkness. If the previous section helped you realize that positive thinking is not always beneficial and can even turn into toxic positivity, then what's even more important is learning how to cultivate a healthy, authentic perspective. One that allows you to see the light even in the darkest moments, without denying reality or running away from difficulties. We don't need to paint life in bright colors. Instead, we need to train ourselves to develop eyes that can spot the lessons and opportunities hidden within every challenge. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" try asking, "What is this situation trying to teach me?" For example, when you are rejected from your dream job, you can sit and complain about how useless you are, or you can reflect and realize which skills you need to improve and how much longer you need to persevere. When a close friend turns their back on you, instead of drowning in the pain of betrayal, ask yourself, what does this relationship teach me about trust and how to choose my companions? When a project you put your heart into fails, instead of blaming circumstances, step back and ask, what did I not prepare well enough? What skills do I need to sharpen further? The light is not found by denying the darkness, but by looking through the darkness to find the message life is trying to send you. And this is not just a theory. Many great figures in the world have practiced this way of seeing. Nelson Mandela, after spending 27 years in prison, chose forgiveness over resentment and turned his years of imprisonment into the foundation for the reconciliation of South Africa. Oprah Winfrey, who grew up in poverty and suffered abuse, did not let her pain drown her. Instead, she chose to learn, grow, and become one of the greatest sources of inspiration in the world. They did not deny the suffering they had experienced, but they found light amidst the darkness and let that light guide them. A small practice for you. Tonight, before going to bed, try writing down 3 unpleasant things or challenges you encountered during the day. For each one, add this question and answer it. What can I learn from this? By doing this consistently every day, you will gradually train yourself to see the light even when life doesn't seem favorable. Being grateful, even for imperfections. As you gradually learn to see the light in the darkness, you will realize something even deeper. Life is inherently imperfect, and that is precisely what makes it worth living. There's a truth that everyone must accept. No journey is paved entirely with roses, and no life is always smooth sailing. If you expect everything to always go well, if you only look for happiness in perfect circumstances, you will constantly be disappointed. But when you learn to be grateful even for the imperfections, you will gain a new perspective. You will see that it is precisely the times you stumble that teach you how to stand back up. It is the moments of weakness that help you understand the true strength within yourself. It is the people who once hurt you that teach you how to love yourself and others more deeply. Remember this: those who have experienced failure in business are often the ones who truly understand the value of every penny. Those who have been heartbroken are the ones who learn to cherish true love when it comes. Those who have made mistakes are the ones who learn how to be compassionate and refrain from judging others. Life is like a piece of music with both high and low notes. If it only consisted of perfect melodies, it would soon become dull. It's the low notes that make the song deep and meaningful. Therefore, when you learn to be grateful even for the imperfect experiences, that's when you start to live fully. No longer blaming the past, no longer fearing the future, but appreciating every moment in the present. Let's conclude this section with this image. A flower doesn't bloom beautifully because it has avoided the wind and rain. It blooms because it has been shaped by them. Humans are the same. Inner beauty is cultivated through challenging, imperfect experiences. You see, the life we are living is just like the small window in the story of the 2 prisoners. One person only saw the dull gray wall, while the other looked up and saw a sky full of stars. The world outside remained the same, but the inner world of each person was completely different. What matters most is not what is happening, but how you choose to perceive it. If you choose to see life through a lens of pessimism, everything around you will appear difficult, disappointing, and painful. But if you know how to broaden your perspective, learn to accept imperfections, and find light even in the darkness, you will receive the most precious gift of all, peace and growth from your own challenging experiences. So, before you utter a complaint or blame fate, ask yourself, am I choosing to look at the gray wall, or am I lifting my head to admire the sky? Am I drowning in negativity, or am I learning to see the lessons, opportunities, and hidden beauty behind every hardship? Life is not always easy, but the way you choose to see it will determine the quality of your life. And as always, before we end today's tea session, I'd like you to take a moment, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, how have you been looking at life today? If you find this story and these reflections helpful, don't forget to hit like and share it with those you think need to hear this message. And feel free to leave a comment below, letting me know, are you choosing to look at the gray wall or at the wide open sky? I'll see you in our next tea session with another story and even deeper perspectives, wishing you a peaceful day filled with light.